It's Tuesday, September 17. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Energy Minister Favour Williams is to make a statement in the House of Representatives today, Tuesday, September 17, regarding the decision to have the Energy Ministry take over the functions of the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, the PCJ. The announcement of the closure was made Thursday during a staff meeting at the PCJ. In a media release on Monday, the Energy Minister said it was important that the workers were informed before a public pronouncement was made. The private sector organization of Jamaica joined several entities calling for the government to provide justification for its decision to have the Energy Ministry take over the functions of the PCJ. Jamaicans will learn more about dengue in the next few weeks with the rollout of all-island tour to sensitize residents about the importance of implementing good vector control measures in the fight against dengue. Following a tour of sections of Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth on September 13, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tofton, told the press that the challenge can only be won on a united front and that there is absolutely no room for complacency. He says the objective is to sensitize the public, to help with the planning and implementing process, to give critical support to the health staff in parishes, because he believes this is the best response to this dengue challenge. Dr. Tofton said in St. Elizabeth alone, the ministry has increased the number of vector workers from 41 to 100 in an effort to ensure maximum coverage and attention in susceptible areas. The Senate has approved the Law Reform Amendment and Penalties Act, which will update low, outdated monetary fines for a range of offenses. Leader of government business in the Senate, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, on Friday said the amendments will ensure that fines are more in keeping with the gravity of offenses.
There was, in fact, deep review. The fines were considered not only within the context of the custodial sentences, which may have accompanied them. They were considered in terms of the seriousness of the offenses, but they were also considered in the context of recent legislative amendments or recent legislation passed, which have commensurate fines. So, for example, in respect of the Larceny Act, for example, $3 million is in fact the fine imposed under the JACRA in respect of agricultural commodities, up to $3 million, and therefore a fine not exceeding $3 million was attached in respect of larceny, and this is in respect of larceny of animals. And if you look in the schedule, you will see larceny of cattle, you will see the various elements of the relevant aspects of animal kind.
She said that updating old penalties in laws will form part of the government's commitment to restoring confidence in the justice system. Meanwhile, Senator Sophia Longmore said the move to update fines is welcomed and will provide greater protection for vulnerable groups. She noted, for example, that Section 40 of the Offences Against the Persons Act and the subsection dealing with aggravated assault against women and children, the fines have moved from $2,000 to $500,000.
Currently, under Section 53 of the Larceny Act, which speaks to predial larceny, the value of the article alleged to be stolen or injured does not exceed $5,000, or it exceeds lies between $5,000 and not exceeding $10,000. The person shall be liable to a fine not exceeding $20,000. or to an imprisonment with hard labor for a term not exceeding 3 months. Mr. President, that fine has been updated to $250,000, a clearly more significant deterrent to such an emotionally and economically damaging crime.
The government has reiterated its goal to the protection of the cockpit country. There has been increased activism from sections of the society in recent years rejecting the mining in or close to the protected area. Speaking on the program OPM Connect on Monday, Parliament Secretary Senator Robert Morgan said the government has to balance environmental conservatism with the economic importance of mining.
country. At the end of the discussions, looking at all the geological implications, all the ecological and hydrological resources that are there that are important to the country, a determination was made that the proposed Cockpit country protected area would encompass 74,000 thereabout hectares of land, which is about 7% of the entire Jamaica, right? That is about 250 kilometers around. And that we will now start a thing called a ground truthing process, where surveyors and experts will walk the entire boundary to make it, to put in monuments to show where the protected area is. Interestingly, the Cockpit country is very rich. Some areas of it is rich in bauxite. And one of the things that we had to do when the proposed protected area was being determined was that there was already a special mining license that exists that encompassed areas that were to be protected. We had to cut that in half, basically.
So some of that area is now in the protected
right.
Cockpit country
So there
area.
were licenses that were signed before our government, a long time ago, that encompassed areas that are currently in the protected area, that the government had to make a decision to take away a lot of those resources from the bauxite company to protect it. Because even though, as a government, we recognize that mining is very important economically, we still consider that protecting the water resources, the ecological resources, the flora and fauna, is actually more important. But we also have to balance the interest. So mining is a reality in our society. It is a part of our economy. So we have to find ways to balance those interests while at the same time ensuring that the ecological, geological, environmental considerations are taken into.
The Cockpit country is responsible for almost half of the island's potable water. The Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, BITU, which represents hundreds of employees at the Gisco Alpart bauxite plant in Nain, St. Elizabeth, has charged that many of the ills being faced by local workers there is as a direct result of the lack of input from their Jamaican managers. Hundreds of workers have been made redundant from as early as June as the company began scaling back some of its operations to meet demands for its second phase of modernization and expansion plan. Cavan Gale, who heads the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, asserts that local managers at the company must take responsibility for the breakdown in talks between local workers and their Chinese employers. Meanwhile, disgruntled workers have accused management of union busting, a charge that Gale said he was unable to verify. Services offered by the Criminal Records Office, which is located at 34 Duke Street in downtown Kingston, will be temporarily suspended to allow for relocation. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, said in a statement yesterday that this emanated from the preliminary results of air quality testing done at the office last week. It raised serious concerns about the quality of the air in the building. It said that the Police High Command has taken the decision to close the office for a week to remedy the situation and protect the well-being of both staff and customers. Persons with emergencies are being asked to contact the office via email at tsd@jcf.gov.jm. The US dollar on Monday, September 16, ended trading at Jamaican $137.12, down by 31 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $103.94, down from $103.99, while the British pound sterling ended trading at $168.79, down from $170.53. In regional news, a minority group of opposition parties in Venezuela agreed on Monday to enter negotiations with President Nicolas Maduro's government without the participation of U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido, eroding his efforts to hold together a coalition to confront the socialist administration. The agreement was signed by representatives of several opposition parties alongside Maduro's top aides in a nationally televised event attended by foreign diplomats. It's marked the first significant split in the anti-Maduro camp since Guaido, as head of the opposition-controlled Congress, declared himself interim president in January, citing what was seen as Maduro's fraudulent re-election last year. Guaido quickly drew recognition from the United States and more than 50 nations. The talks will focus on reforming Venezuela's electoral board as well as finding a solution to the impasse caused by the creation of a pro-government constitutional assembly to rival the opposition-controlled Congress. In sports, we are on the track with athletics as Jamaica named a 55-member team to the 17th edition of the IAAF World Championships, headed by reigning Olympic sprint double champion Elaine Thompson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. President of the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, Dr. Warren Blake, is expecting a good all-round display from the team following the departure of some members this week for the training camp at Aspire Academy in Qatar. It will be the first time in 12 years that Jamaica will be entering a World Championship without the incomparable Usain Bolt, who retired after the 2017 event in London. And the medal tally has been paltry at best, especially on the men's side. Still in sports, 4 players were struck by lightning at a ISA Digital Manning Cup Group E game between Woolmer's Boys and Jamaica College Monday afternoon. The incident occurred in the 84th minute of the contest when 4 players collapsed, 2 from each team, after a flash of lightning. Referee Carl Terrell called off the contest and the 4 players were attended to, but one JC player, Terence Francis, was taken to the University Hospital of the West Indies as his condition appeared more serious. In the weather report, at 4 a.m. Tuesday morning, the large and ragged eye of Hurricane Humberto was located near latitude 30.6 degrees north, longitude 74.3 degrees west. Humberto is moving towards the east-northeast near 13 kilometers per hour. This general motion with a gradual increase in forward speed is expected through early Thursday. On the forecast track, the center of Humberto is expected to approach Bermuda Wednesday night. Maximum sustained winds remain near 150 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Some strengthening is forecast during the next 36 hours, and Humberto is expected to become a major hurricane by Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. The U.S. National Hurricane Center says it expects Hurricane Humberto to lash Bermuda with a high wind and heavy rain later this week. The Meteorological Service will continue to monitor the progress of this system. And that's the news. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.